Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Hannah Crapeau. I'm the content marketing manager here at Certiport. We're so happy to be hosting another Ask a Champion webinar this afternoon. We're very privileged to be here with Salma Sanchez, who's our most recent Adobe Certified Professional World Champion. Selma's going to tell us a little bit about herself, her experience at the Adobe competition, and what it's been like since she was crowned a world champion and gold medalist. So Selma, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate you.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
So for those of our attendees who don't know a ton about you, haven't been able to meet you, you want to give a quick intro into yourself and where you're from?
And as you know, my name is Salma Sanchez. I'm from Dominican Republic, and I just moved here when I was 16 years old. And I work with graphic design since I was little. Like, I always loved graphic design.
Amazing. So you've only been here in the United States for a few years.
Yeah.
And so tell us how you first got involved in certification. Did that happen at school? Is that something that you knew you wanted to pursue? When did that take place?
Actually, it was in my country. They have Certiport as the one that provide the certifications. And I did Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint certification. And then when I moved here, the first that I saw Miss Monge's room, I knew I wanted to do graphic design there. So I got in there in Tohopeka and I did the certifications that I did, like graphic design ones.
Fabulous. So which certifications did you earn? Did you do Photoshop, Illustrator? Which ones did you end up earning while you were in school?
I did Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, but InDesign, I didn't pass it. So it will be only Photoshop.
Still a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So along the way, you had a fabulous teacher that we've been able to meet multiple times, Jenny Mohes, who really encouraged you. Is she the one who introduced you to the Adobe competition, or when did you first hear about the championship?
Yeah, it was her. The first time I get into it, she told me about it and I signed up. And then the second time also it was her that told me, like, oh, you should do it again to see what happened. Because the first time it was online. So it was gonna be a whole different story. So she was the one that put me into that.
So how did you feel going into the competition? Were you nervous? Did you expect to win? What were you thinking when you first started preparing?
In the first one, I was not that nervous because I didn't even thought I was gonna have anything. So I was like happy that I was gonna go to another place and meet new people. But in the war one, I was nervous because I had like a hope, and also it was people of around the war, and it was like gonna be more harder. So I was even more nervous, and even more when they put the designs, like in the day before they say who won, and they put all the designs. I was even more nervous because I saw all the designs in mine too. So I was like, well, I don't know.
I mean, there were fabulous designs, but obviously our judges really loved yours. And I know you said that you've been really involved with graphic design for a long time. It's been something you've been super interested in. So when you were getting ready to come to the competition, even US Nationals, how did you prepare? What did you do to get yourself ready?
To be honest, I saw all the videos of the others championships and I saw who won. I saw the behind face when you have all the designs that won and no one. And I kind of compare the one that won with the one that didn't won, so I can see like what they did to won.
Oh, interesting. So tell me what you noticed is the difference between the ones that won and the others.
I noticed that the ones that won were more professionals. Like, you can tell that they did it in a professional way, so the company actually they can use it. And the other ones that didn't won, they were perfect to like cool and whatever, but they were not that professional. So I think that was the point that made them made them different from the other one.
So what were the distinguishing features that you noticed that made one design look more professional compared to another?
When you use the typography, like sometimes I have learned that the typography is very important. Now that I'm like a class just about typography, when you use a typography that you cannot even read that what the brand is about, and you cannot, it's not notices, obviously it's not gonna look professional. So that's all. That's the point I see when I like select what I'm gonna design.
I really like that you touched on that, because I think typography is a highly finessed skill, right? You
Yeah,
kind of get familiar with the programs, you learn how to use the technology, but typography is something that you kind of have to have an eye for. You have to see like, this works with this design, this doesn't necessarily work, and how it incorporates into the full visual. And I know that our judges look a lot at the typography and how you use that. So I think that that's amazing. Besides looking at the other designs, what were you thinking going into the competition? Did you feel like, okay, I have got this, this is going to be super easy, or were you nervous about anything in particular?
I was nervous because of other people, how would they were gonna be, and also I was nervous because of the computers, because I use my computer. I never like
Mhm.
did something in a different computer, so I was nervous about that. But even though I was nervous, I think I have like a really good time, and my mind was not thinking all the time like, oh, it's a competition. I was
Mhm.
more thinking about enjoying the time that I was there.
So tell us about your experience. What was your favorite part of the competition overall?
I think to meet new people, because I already made a lot of friends in the championship, and
Mhm.
also that it was in another stage. It was even more fun because I never went to Texas or Los Angeles before that.
Mhm.
So I think that was my favorite part, and also the when we went to Disney and going to Texas to the farmer. Like I like that, even though it's a championship, we get to do those stuff. So our mind not always thinking, oh, it's a champion, I
Mhm.
have to fun, and
I loved talking to some other students, because they shared a similar experience, that when you're in the lab and you're really focused, that's when it feels like a competition. But then as soon as you walk out of the lab, it's all about friendship, right? And
it's
getting
like
to know people who have the same types of interests. And we actually had a question that I wanted to ask you from some students who've registered for this webinar. One of them asked, what was the environment of the competition like? And how did you deal with the pressure when you were competing?
I think the environment was not like other like how you would think, because when you enter a championship, you think everyone is gonna be fighting with each other. We are not
Mhm.
friends. We're competing, like
Yeah.
no. But it was not like that. Actually, we were all friends. Like even though we were competing, you cannot see that like pressure that, oh, I don't want to talk to you because I'm competing with you. It was not like that. We were all friends. We were all talking. When the actually day that we were competing, that was the only day that we were like not talking because we were cannot
Yeah.
talk. But after that, and I don't think I was that pressure. The only pressure that I have, it was that if obviously I didn't knew what it was gonna happen. It was
Mm.
if I win, but even though I think it was not that like pressure.
Mhm. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think it's a lot of students are afraid to enter the competition, because most competitions you think of, it's really high pressure, really high stakes. And this is, of course, there's a lot that you can take away from the competition, but it's more about interacting with other students and being able to bridge the connections between students in different states and students in different countries, and being able to connect with people who share your interests and being able to network together. I think that that's really special. Um, One of the other questions that we got is, now that the competition is over, how have things changed for you? What is your life like now that you've competed and you've actually won, been named the world champion?
It changed a lot because I got wonderful opportunities like being guest speakers in conference, having myself in my page of my college, and like it changed 100 way, like a lot, 100%. And it's really cool that I got those opportunities after won this. And even though I think even though you don't win, you still have those
Yeah.
opportunities, because when I just get the 10th place, the first time I enter, I still got a lot of opportunities. And now
Mhm.
that I won, even more. So yeah, it changed a lot after the championship.
Yeah, we were talking before we went live about how teachers at your college recognize you now and say,
Yeah,
"Oh, I've seen your face before." So I think that that's really amazing to have recognition in your school. And you talked about people in the Dominican Republic know who you are and have seen you on the news. So there's a lot of recognition that you get for the skills that you have, which I think is really powerful and special. And now that you're in college, you've earned your certification, you've competed in the competition. Do you feel like those skills that you've learned have helped you in pursuing your future career goals and your educational goals?
Yeah, it helped me a lot because actually for those certification I did on high school, I got some credits from college. So there are some classes that I don't have to do. And
Mhm.
also if you are like unsure of what you wanna do, if that's your career, I think certification is a great way to figure it out if that's what you wanna do. Because when you do the certification, you actually learn a lot about the software. So
Mhm.
if you do it, you can see, oh, I like this to be my life career. That's what I'm gonna do my entire life. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think it helped me a lot because even though I always knew graphic design was my thing, I wanted to try how it was because I just have the idea, you know.
Yeah.
So certification helped me a lot to like know for sure that that's what I want to do.
I like that it gives you like a little bit of an inside view into the stuff that's going to be required if that's the career that you want to choose, right? Because a lot of students will go into college and say, I have no idea what I want to do for my career. And so certification can kind of give you that inside peek and say, oh, I actually do really like this, or I'm good at this, and this is something that I want to do. I wanted to ask about some additional opportunities that have opened because of your certification or the competition. So what are some things that you've been able to experience as a result of your certification and the skills that you've learned?
And I think because of the certifications, I was more able to work now in the place I'm working because I'm working as a designer. I don't even graduate and I work as a designer. And it's because of those certifications that prove that I have the knowledge of being a worker as a designer. So I think certifications give you a lot for your portfolio and for your resume that you can put that you actually know about those stuff and you can work in a place doing that even though you don't have like your degree.
Mhm. So tell me about how you've been connected enough to people in industry to get clients and to start working while you're still in school. What was that process like?
It was all after the championship, even though
Mm.
I had some clients before, more after the championship because I get more people get more to know me.
Mhm.
And I always have one page and I create another one now just focus on design because the other one was focused on printing and design, but I did one more for designing. And after the championship, for all the people I know, I told them, like, oh, I do graphic design my own. If you want something, I can do it for you. And yeah, like it was more harder before the championship to get
Yeah.
clients because people didn't know me. But after the championship, it was more easy, and now I have like clients.
Yeah, all of that recognition helps you with networking and things like that, plus building out your portfolio, which I think is a really big part of when you're starting out in your career. You need to be able to showcase what you've done and what you can do. And so even just using your competition design to add to your portfolio really speaks a lot to your skill set in the professional setting, which I think is super special. We
Yeah.
had a couple other questions from students that I wanted to make sure we went through as well. You said that you've always been interested in graphic design. One student wanted to know, how long have you been working with the Adobe applications?
To be honest, I started working in Adobe application when I get here in the United States because in Dominican Republic I didn't have Photoshop, Illustrator, or anything like that. But before that, I always like doing things on my phone. So I have apps that was similar to Photoshop and Illustrator, but in my phone. So that's
Mhm.
how I like know before I get here what I have to do in the actual software because I learned the stuff in the other software that is similar to that one. So yeah, I have like 3 years working, 4 years working in graphic design, like Adobe and things like that.
And look at how much you've learned already. I'm so impressed. I just think that that's super special. What was one of the hardest skills or like the hardest program for you to learn?
In design is the hardest. I think it's because it's bored for me. I'm sorry, it was
Yeah.
bored for me because you cannot do a lot of things in InDesign.
Mhm.
Like more like I don't know how to explain it. Like there's no
It's
like
more structured, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love that. Even though there's different programs for everyone, right? I think it's important for students to know going into the competition, you'll be able to use Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign, or any combination of the three. But look at what you can do even just with Photoshop skills. You don't necessarily need to have all three programs mastered to do really well at the competition. Another student asked, how do you keep yourself motivated to finish your project? So whether it's for a client or for school, what do you do to motivate yourself and keep yourself creative?
It is hard for me because I always distress myself when I'm doing my stuff. But what I do, if I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the clients, I look for ideas like in behind Pinterest and even Google. I look for ideas of how all this brand with the same idea do their logo. For example, if I'm doing a logo, I like if it's for a coffee shop, what I do is like I do coffee shop logo and inspiration, and I start to think that way, and then I come with new ideas about how I'm gonna do it.
Love it. So that there's creative ways that you can find inspiration online. And is this something that you look for outside of being online? Like when you're looking at storefronts and different things like that, are you finding inspiration as you go throughout your regular day as well?
Yeah, like I think in all places there are inspiration because graphic design is in all world. Like all the things we have is graphic design. Even though you don't think that way, it's really that is, because when you design a house, you have to design it like in the house you live, and everything is have to be designed.
Yeah, there's design everywhere you go. And so being able to take that inspiration, I think that really impacts you as an artist. And one of the things we talked about before we started recording is that now you're in a drawing class. So how do you feel like working on paper and working outside of a computer? Do you feel like that's helped you with your skills, or how are those different?
It is very hard, but I think it's helped me because before I never do like in sketches, and for it's really important to do a sketch, but I'm not good at it. So what I did is I just start with the computer. I don't do anything in paper. But after that, I'm learning how to draw in paper, it helped me a lot to get ideas more easy because I draw it and then I get into the computer and then I do it. And it helped me a lot because before I didn't know anything on how to draw in paper. I was not good at it. And now I become to get good at it.
Yeah, I think stretching yourself outside of just the applications is really important too, right? Any area where you're pursuing additional artistic vision or looking to expand your creative skill set can really make an impact on what you bring into your career, which seems to be like more structured, but there's a lot of room to be creative. So expanding your skills is super important. Another question we wanted to ask for students who are listening, what advice would you share with them as they're looking to compete in the Adobe competition, or even just looking to have a career like yours in graphic design? What advice would you share with them to get started?
I will tell them that not get scared about how other people will feel or how people will say things about your work, because sometimes we stop ourselves because we think, oh, we are not good enough to be in this position, or oh, I don't think I'm that good to earn that. But even though you don't think that way, maybe you are good. You just have that thing in your mind that, oh, I'm not that good, because that happened to me. Like before, when I was going to get into the championship, and I told my mom, like, oh, I don't think I should get it because I don't think I'm gonna get anything. And she was like, well, you don't know what is gonna happen, and look at where we are now. So I think it's important that you do it even though you think you are not that good, and you can learn a lot of things and in the process. Even though you don't win stuff, you still learn a lot and you have the experience. So yeah.
So what do you feel like you learned from nationals going into the World Championship? What were some of the lessons that you learned that helped you polish your skills to eventually win the gold medal?
I think I learned and to believe my word too, because I'm like, for real, I don't think I was not good. Not even in the national, not even the world one. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm that good. So I learned to believe a lot in my work. And also I learned and design ways for other students, because even though they didn't win, they still have things that I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So I learned and kind of like how to do those stuff with the other students.
Mhm.
And yeah, I learned like new techniques of designs from other students from all other parts of the world.
It's interesting, and that's one of the things that I love about the competition is that different countries and cultures approach design in a really different way. And so being able to see how other students or other professionals design really can impact the way that you approach things, because it's not just that we know the best way, it's just that's kind of our process. And so being able to see and take away some lessons from other students, I think is really special and really powerful. I also love that you shared what an impact Miss Mojes has had on you. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about your relationship with her. What did she do to help you feel empowered enough to enter the competition?
She always like in class, she always give us clients because we have like an agency in our school. So she give us clients. So I think that's a great way that she make us feel that we are professional, that the work is good enough because we are out to working with real people that want our stuff. So yeah, she always do that. Like she always put us to do things outside of the class so we get our work more professional. And I think that's the thing that most helped me to be where I am now, because I'm always thinking in a professional way. I'm not thinking like, oh, it's a school assignment, it's a homework. I like thinking that it's professional and that someone is actually gonna use it. And she is that type of teacher that want you to think outside of the school. Not like, oh, it's a class. She wants you to think more like it's a career. So yeah.
I love that. If you approach every assignment with the perspective of this is going to be something that I would give to a client, I think it makes you approach it in a little bit of a different way, and it makes you take it a lot more seriously, which I think is super important. And I just love Miss Mojes. I've been able to work with her, and I think that she's just such a fabulous example of the power that educators can have, that teachers can have in the lives of students, and what a transformation you've been able to have as well. So I think that that's amazing. For our attendees and for people who are maybe watching the recording after, do you have any final thoughts or anything else that you wanted to share about the competition or your experience? Did that come through okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Anything else that you want to share about your experience at the competition?
Oh, I thought you were like
that's okay.
And I think all the students should take advantage of these opportunities. Like as I said before, even though you don't think you're gonna win anything, you should enter, because just the experience of going there and meeting new people is most important than to win. I know win is important because it is. We all want to win, but even though you don't win, the experience is really cool to like meet new people and meet new ways of design and just new people and go to new places. So I think all the students should take advantage of that and should take advantage of certifications, because they actually help a lot. And when you have a certification and you want to enter a job, when you have a certain amount of them, they actually think of you because you have more knowledge of different things that other people that I want to get that job. So I think it's very important that students take advantage of them. I think we are all in high school and we don't want to do more stuff than just the homework, but it's actually gonna help you in the future. So yeah.
Well, someone was asking, they just submitted a question. How did you get accepted to the competition, and what was your application process like? So it looks like you're inspiring people already. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
It's actually really easy to get into the championship. You just have to submit some of your designs. I will say that you have like 5 designs, I think, so you have to submit. And I will say enter all your 5 designs, because you can put less than 5, but I will say put more. They can actually see your work. And if they like your work, they put you to go to the championship. But it's really easy. It takes you, I think, like 5 minutes to just enter.
Yeah, just a form fill and uploading your files, right? It's not super complicated. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I got an email about last week is that we had some attendees who are native Spanish speakers who are watching these sessions, who want to be able to hear from these students, hear from you. So is there anything in Spanish that you wanted to share with those in the Dominican Republic or the rest of our Latin American students that you can share with them?
Yo diría que básicamente lo que he dicho, que en verdad es muy importante y te va a ayudar muchísimo que tú entres a certificaciones y entres a la competencia, porque en verdad mi vida cambió como un 100% después de todo esto. Y si, hasta en mi país me conocen personas por todo esto que ha pasado. Entonces, realmente es muy importante que tú te tomes el tiempo de hacer certificaciones y de entrar a competencias para que así tú también puedas emerger como yo lo he hecho.
I love it. Make sure to get certified and make sure to pursue the competition, right? And those
Yeah.
opportunities can really have a lifelong impact. So thank you, Selma, for sharing your story with us. And thank you to those who are attending or watching the recording. We really appreciate all of you and we hope to see you at the competition this next year. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a great rest
Thank
of your
you.
afternoon.